Hey, David here with Freedom Electric Marine. Today I am in Georgia with Phil. How's it going, Phil?
Great to be here, Dave.
And we are in a community called Waterways Township, right?
Right.
And it's just outside of Richmond Hill,
Right.
Georgia.
That's right.
And I'm telling you guys, if I let Phil talk about this place, we'll be here all day.
That's
And he
exactly
knows it.
right.
So I'm just going to tell you briefly, this place is unreal. It has a Bill Dance, only, as far as we know, at least today, only Bill Dance, was it approved, authorized?
Yeah,
whatever you wanna call it?
yeah, it's a-
Lake. Anyway, you guys, this place is unbelievable. So if you're looking at retiring in Georgia, Phil will tell you, check out Waterways Township. So anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about Phil. First thing, Phil obviously is a twin troller owner. And the first question I have for you, Phil, is tell us how you heard about the twin troller. Tell us in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I have a neighbor that lives a few doors down, and I've just lived in the community a little more than a year. But I noticed that he had a twin troller. I didn't know what
At the
kind.
time, what was it? You were like, what is that?
That's exactly right. I saw him coming up from a distance, and he had his hands folded in his lap.
Yeah, you're just like everybody else. How is he steering? Where's the
Exactly.
motors?
And I'm scratching my head
you-
watching him, and I'm wondering how in the world he doesn't have. There's no obvious motor on the boat, and the boat's going just perfectly right down the middle of the And I'm thinking, how is he steering that?
Okay, so that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
Okay, so I'm sure you knocked on his door, you yelled at him, or
I
what?
think we had a long conversation about the boat, and he told me all of the positive things about the boat.
Okay.
And it piqued my interest so much that I had to go and begin looking at your videos. I had to Google it,
Yeah.
begin looking at your videos, and it's amazing.
And once you realized what it was,
Right.
what was because what's your history of fishing? Do you have much of a history of
Yeah,
fishing?
I fished a lot when I was younger. My dad and I fished quite a bit. I'm from Alabama originally, and I fished in almost all the waterways in Alabama.
And what kind of, were you in boats, shores, what?
Mostly just an old John boat
Okay,
with
all right.
a 20 horsepower,
Okay.
Johnson and trolling motor.
Okay.
That was it. Nothing fancy.
Okay, so now you're learning about the twin troller, and what's going through your head about the old days of fishing, and what's going through your head?
Well, it's been 30 years since I've had a break in the action somewhat. I hadn't fished a lot. I've been in the service. I haven't fished a lot, and I'm getting close to retirement. And my wife and I lived about 10 miles from Waterways, and I'm attracted to this wonderful lagoon. And I came out and visited it, and then I began to. I was fly fishing and doing some fishing out of a kayak, which is not as fun as being in the twin troller.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
And then
People watching know that. Go ahead.
yes, and then I began to use. My dad and I have an old John boat. I had it. I used it, and anybody that's ever been in a large John boat with a trolling motor knows all the difficulties when the wind is up and all of that. And I weathered through all of that. And I was interested enough in the twin troller, and looking at your videos. It's amazing, because it's stable
Yeah.
in windy weather and so on, and it's a perfect fishing boat. And so I knew immediately I wanted one.
Okay, so just from the videos and stuff, you had a pretty good idea of what you were looking at.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's fast forward. Just real quick, the buying experience, were you comfortable with it? Is shipping it to you? Did you have any doubts, or did you have any concerns during that process?
No problem. And I had one little hiccup. My wife and I were living in Houston. She was undergoing cancer treatment there, and I knew I wanted this boat, and she was recovering pretty well from the cancer treatment, and so I remember looking and trying to time it where I could order this boat and have it back here when we got back from. We spent a year in Houston, so I was trying to time it, and I remember looking at your ad, and during the month of March, you have not only do you have specials, but you also had a green.
Yeah. This is a
Twin
boat
troller.
down here. I'm sure you guys can see. You're noticing that's a green twin troller.
I'm Irish, and I love green, and you can't have too many
Yeah.
more. Luck of the Irish, and so green boat. I had to get one,
you had to get one.
and so I ordered it in March. So I knew I'd already talked to you about the production of the boat, and I wasn't even here at the house when the boat was delivered. It was delivered here, and no issue whatsoever. My son was here to receive it. And everything was perfect.
Everything went fine. So you got what you expected.
Yes.
No surprises.
No, but it's been amazing. I think I may have told you before, but I'm sort of addicted to the boat. That's the one thing you have to worry about for any of your viewers that might be
Why
interested in this.
don't you tell them how much you fish?
Well, I fish every morning and every afternoon.
Now that's a broad statement. And he's not kidding. Every morning and every afternoon, unless
Yes.
your wife has something else for you to
Yeah,
do, right?
unless she has something else planned for me to do. Again, I'm retired. You know, what do you do when you're retired? And some days I play golf in the middle of the day
When the fish aren't biting.
Correct. And then the rest of the time, you know, I'm pretty much fishing. So it's kind
And
of
so,
nice.
you know, and just, I know, we could go on and on about this place. So you've had your boat in the water here since when?
The boat was ordered in March of this
But
year.
you've been using it to fish since.
I've been using it since May.
So since May, and now today we're in very early November.
Right.
And how many fish do you think you've caught?
You know, they're in the thousands. I don't know. I had a lure I tried to show you guys that I had caught. I wanted to put it in the Hall of Fame. It's a rattle trap, and I've caught over 200 bass with it. And I don't know if there ever is such a a way to do that, but I had to one of the hooks was broken. It's all scratched and scarred.
Worn out lure.
Right, worn out lure. Yeah, but let me tell you, I mean, it's not unusual to go out here on a morning and catch between 15 and 20 bass in just a
And
couple
tell them
of
how
hours.
big.
Well, and they range. The largest one, you know, I'd like to catch bigger ones. The largest one was 5 pounds, but over half of them are 2.5 to 3 pound bass, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
You know.
And I've had a chance to go out. I had the camera. That's a whole other thing. You'll see that. But this place is really an amazing place. Okay, so as you can see, Phil lives pretty well here on this lake. It's a great lake. Like I said, if you want to check this place out, it's called Waterways Township in Georgia, Richmond Hill. Check it out. But just in closing, if you will, is there anything that you'd like to say to somebody who's, you know, maybe they're looking at a twin troller, they see the videos and it looks good, but they're nervous about buying it online or whatever it may be. Is there any advice that you want to give them?
You know, I think the videos are just amazing. You know,
Do you
and
think they're accurate?
I think they're extremely accurate and very detailed, and they give you everything you want to know. I think the first time I got in the boat, I think that it probably takes maybe 10 or 15 seconds to figure out how to use all the
That's a long
control.
time though.
But once you figure it out, you don't even think anymore. The boat moves without you even thinking. You tend, and the huge plus with the boat is that anybody that's ever fished in a John boat would just this would be a dream boat to be in, because you don't realize how many times you have to move the boat just a few degrees to make a better cast, to set the hook.
You're bigger.
And,
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
And the maneuverability of the boat is amazing. You know, you don't ever have to touch any
You know,
of
we
the
have a phrase that we say called "fishing with your feet."
right. And that
And some people don't understand that, but you understand that.
Yeah. But and the danger in this is that if you ever get in this boat and start fishing with it, it's really hard to go to anything else.
Oh,
So
that yeah, we don't even want to go there. I tell people that are looking at a twin troller, I say, this is the last boat you will buy.
and then that's for sure. I've thought about buying a second one because I don't know what I would do if my boat, heaven forbid that it ever had to have a repair or have to be out of the water for a little while.
I need a new motor. Okay, we'll have it to you in 3 days. 3 days? That's like 300 fish.
Right. Right.
That's
Well,
funny.
and I remember asking Frank about, you know, what do you do when you have long distances to travel on the water? Do you ever worry about burning up the motors? And so because I wanted to protect the motors, and I'm very protective of the boat, I purchased another motor to go on it to get me for the long distances. And of course, I didn't need to do that.
That's
That
funny.
was a wasted effort. But you know, anyway.
But that's okay. So right now, standing here, you comfortable saying it's the world's best fishing boat?
I think it's pretty close to it.
It's pretty close to it. Okay,
Yes.
So you know, we could go on and on. So I'm just going to say, if any of you are looking at a twin troller, and I've got Phil here to back me up, we go to great lengths to make the videos accurate and describing the boat accurately, so that when it arrives, there's no surprises. And trust me, there's no surprises. It is what we say it is. The last thing we want is an unhappy owner. We don't want unhappy owners, and you're not an unhappy owner.
Not at all.
Not at all. And so check out the videos. And Phil, I want to thank you
Yeah, you
for
bet,
taking the
man.
time to chat. And once again, I got to do another plug, because you guys, this is a great place. It's called Waterways Township. It's outside of Richmond Hill, Georgia. Check it out. It's a fisherman's paradise. Would you agree?
Great retirement community. Unbelievable.
All right. Okay, you take care. See ya.
Thanks.